Okay, I'll hit record. So tell me more. I did read up in the details of the email, but tell me more about what you'd like to accomplish.
Okay, it's just a conversation about BIM and Plannerly for my students to know about more Plannerly and the benefits using Plannerly.
Sure.
No?
So did you want me to present something? Is that the easiest way?
I have some questions for you, and
okay.
You can, if you wanna show something, you can too.
I am recording it as well, so if you
you too.
Yeah, if you want the recording, I can just record it on my screen.
So first of all, I would like to thank you for spending your time to answer our question, and second of all, I would like to apologize if my English sounds weird for you.
Not at all. Your English is fantastic. I can't count how many languages. No, absolutely fantastic.
Okay, thank you. So let's get started. Plannerly is more than a software company. Is an education company too. I learned a lot about BIM and Plannerly and website. How we can explain to contractors the benefits of Plannerly and the plan of BIM and convince them to start from the right way, because the most of them see this plan as a waste of time, you know?
See BIM as a waste of time, or see planning for BIM?
Planning for BIM.
Okay.
So write and Plannerly or some word.
So they prefer getting downstream with a 3D model that is not fit for purpose, and then having to rework and avoid and try to re-engineer the model in mid-project, versus plan for and sequence out and in a lean fashion avoid the problems, avoid the clashes, and have a much more seamless project as a result. The benefits of using BIM can only be realized if you have a planned workflow, not a haphazard and crazy and firefighting workflow. So that's what we do, but we make it super simple. So instead of the planning being boring and time consuming, we make the planning super useful and extremely fast. And I can show you an example. Maybe I should share my screen and show you an example. It's probably the easiest way is to see an example. So when you come into Plannerly, it's not a boring result that you get when you simply say, I need to include BIM execution plans and my contract terms and my minutes for my meeting. And then simply by hitting create, we have now, in a couple of button clicks, we've now got our full BIM execution plan with everything from the details and the ISO principles that we're following, all of the uses, how we're going to run meetings, even down to another tab for our meeting minutes to be collected. So really, really a lot easier to get started. So that's just one example of how much quicker we can make it to create and how much more fun. That was more fun, wasn't it?
Yeah,
a little bit.
Fun. Yeah, it's simple, fun.
Yeah, and so we have as soon as you've created your plan, you can then use it in the project, and you could print the cards out on the wall and use them in your project on the site as well if you wanted to. Yeah.
So how do you recommend for a designer ask for requirements of BIM elements to his contractors to align the expectation? You understand?
Yeah, it's a very important one, because if you don't have those requirements defined, you'll end up either modeling too much or too little. And you could model too much too soon, and too little too late as well. And it's always going to be a problem. So we recommend using BIM uses to do that. And so if I was to share my screen again, I can show you a quick example of that. if we move to the scope, so the plan is documenting. The scope is really all about what you're going to do, when you're going to do it. And if you have either a template or another project that you've worked on, you can then choose based on the BIM uses that you're going to be using the model for. And I can say, I am going to do an estimate. I'm going to do, maybe I'm not on this project. I'm just going to do 3D coordination and a handover model. They're the two things that I'm going to do. And then when you create that, you're going to be creating just the elements and just the tasks that you are looking to use in your project. So this will create us a full scope automatically for us for the 3D coordination and the handover. And it will be detailed out into everything that's required from each of the trades at every point in time, even down to the handover model for the owner, and at handover needing some certain information requirements for those items. So in super quick time, we can document exactly what's required and no more, and make sure that that is aligned with your client's requirements. So in this example, the HVAC equipment is needing warranty details and point of contact on this item for handing over the model at a certain point in time. So you could even give that a date that says, you know, this is the date at which we need to hand over the model. And now that becomes a requirement for a certain team. And we can obviously change that and define which team we want to use. So very, very clear definition of requirements with, from an ISO standards perspective, level of information need, what is needed, and making sure we know who's responsible for that. So really, really clearly defining that. And then as we go through this project, we might want to start assigning dates to it, assigning specific team members to it. Unfortunately, I'm the only person in our team at the moment. And also changing the status of that task as we go through the project. So that's just a way of quickly defining those information requirements and those packages required for each team member.
That's perfect. Perfect. You solve all the problem that we have, and I have this problem too, and my students too, and they ask me for a solution, and I always recommend Plannerly to plan and ask for requirements. Yeah. So how many companies around the world is using Plannerly approximately, and what country is the most using Plannerly?
Great question. So I can give you some rough approximation. So we stopped counting when we reached 100 different countries. So we are in over 100 countries, and we have over 25,000 on the platform. So it's very prevalently used around the world. And when you ask which countries are the most used, there's use around the world. I'm really intrigued by a massive adoption in and around the UK and European countries. There is some adoption in some of the like Australia and New Zealand, and there's a lot of teaching going on in some of those areas. So universities are teaching, and obviously a big market for us is in America as well, and the Americas. And really, it's nice to see it broadly adopted rather than just in one place. And one of the things that we pride ourselves on, if I just jump back into the platform, is if you look at on your profile, you can actually change the language that you use. And we have, I believe we support nearly 28 different languages. So as you are moving around on projects in different places, you might need to support a different language, or you might need to support multiple languages. So being able to change your profile for the settings and also change the project language as a whole. So if we go into here, we can change the project language, and that will change the element names and change the way that we work. And the other part of this is standards. So you might follow American standards in the US, the AIA or the BIM forum. You might follow the previously used UK standard. You might follow Danish or Brazilian. etc., etc. But now we're starting to see a lot more use of an international standard of the ISO 19650, and that is becoming more and more prevalent. So it's used around the world, and being able to support them, not just, oh, actually, I should probably share with you as well that the templates as well that are provided in those languages. So let me jump back in here. And if we are in the plan, for example, if on the left-hand side, you can see there's a library. The library has a set of templates from around the world in different countries, and you can actually ask for your own. The same principle in the scoping. If you are working and using a different language or a different template set, a different way of classifying, you can use any of the standards that you see around the world. So it's really, really about being able to meet those requirements wherever you are.
That's great. That's great. Fantastic. And I have some friend from Brazil, José Vargas. Do you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
We know José.
He wrote about the Brazilian rule in Plannerly.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely.
What's the challenge to BIM implementation in your opinion? What's the
biggest challenge?
Yeah. What's the worst challenge?
The worst thing is when BIM is run as a separate process, as a parallel process. And if sometimes the reasons are that it's complex, it's different sometimes from what we do traditionally, but sometimes we don't help ourselves by inventing new terms and new ways of describing and doing things. So our focus on solving that challenge is to simplify and align it with current processes and best practices, and just make it part of people's daily work. A big piece of that, just to kind of keep going back to the software as a backdrop, but you'll see that in the application, we don't call the plan module the BIM execution plan module. We don't call the scope module the master information delivery plan or the task information delivery plan, or we're not using those terms and terminology. We're using basic terms that people use in their everyday world and in traditional design and construction workflow. So we're really, really trying to make sure that everything that we do is helping that and making it super simple for people to, whether they're a BIM expert or just getting started, or if they're an owner trying to ask for BIM, it's really about being able to define something clearly and in plain language rather than in a complex BIM terminology with lots of acronyms and very difficult things to understand. So yeah, that's the biggest challenge, and we're hoping to help people to overcome that.
Understand, yeah. So there is any opportunity for Brazilian designing to work for other companies from Brazil? And do you know where they can find them?
For people to work for companies around the world in different places?
Around the world from Brazil.
Yeah, I'm not probably the best person to ask about that sort of employment, but there are some great opportunities and some fantastic projects using BIM. And one thing that I would say is those people are in high demand. So it's really, there is a shortage of skill that are already competent. So if you're training these fantastic people to come out with these skills, they are in high demand for big companies implementing some of the best projects that are using BIM. And yeah, the salary is a lot higher and the opportunity is very good for them.
Why is so important to BIM modelers to know how to use Plannerly, and or is a tool just for a BIM manager, for example? Is it important to BIM modeler to know using Plannerly or write something there?
It's a good question. So if I'm a BIM modeler and I am in my own silo trying to model what I believe my scope is, and I get to the end of the stage or phase of the project and I deliver my model and I find thousands of clashes come back to me, and I have to sit in lots and lots of meetings, and people tell me that I've missed some scope, and people tell me that why did I model this, and all of those questions. Instead of doing that, what they can do, and let me just share, going back to the software, what we can do now is, instead of having a team that doesn't really know what they should do and when they should do it, if we go to the two modules, the schedule and the track modules, these are the two modules that the BIM modelers really would be really interested in seeing. Because I can go up here as a BIM modeler and say, I am the architect. That's all I'm interested in seeing. And so now I can come in and say, these are all of my tasks on the right-hand side. This is my swim lane for my team. And I can say, this is when I'm going to do the curtain wall, and it's going to take me this amount of time. And then I'm going to model the exterior parapets, and it's going to take me this amount of time. And these tasks now are shown to others, and we can start to put dependencies between these tasks to show what I need from somebody else. So it's really important for me to know not to start my parapet walls until we've fixed the floor to floor or fixed the structural model for certain things. So we can start having communication with those other team members and make it a lot easier for us to agree on what we should be doing, when we should be doing it. The other module that the BIM teams that are actually modeling, they really want to not have to keep on and on updating their manager. Yeah, the manager comes in and the manager says, how are you doing? How much progress have you made? So instead of having to do that now, we can jump into the track page, and the modeling team simply looks at their tasks and says, okay, I have started the curtain walls and I have finished the landscaping that's ready for their review, and the elevators are in, and I've also done the parking as well. And these tasks will be sent on a notification for their manager that all of these tasks have been updated, and they will see the percentage that is showing that they have 30% of their work is ready for review, without having to answer or send an email to tell their manager how well they're doing. And without having to write their own to-do list, they are being provided this information, and they're able to really understand and focus on what's important, and also be able to get their work done in the way that it was, so they can be 100% productive. So that's just one kind of thought in how BIM modelers also would be using the platform.
This is collaboration, everybody. This is collaboration. So it's important for BIM modelers too. What's the most important thing that BIM modeler have to know about BIM using Plannerly? I think that question is duplicate.
I don't know. Maybe I could answer that one as well. So the the best part is for them is not getting the how are you doing, but also being able to submit a model, even just in pieces, and not have somebody review the whole model at the same time, or have to wait to submit it. So what they can do is they can jump into let's go to the verify module. So here in the verify module, when they're ready to start submitting some of this work, they can say, well, what I've been working on is the stuff that I've started, or stuff that I'm working on at the moment. It's the curtain walls. Well, I don't have to split out my model into lots of pieces, but if I click on the BIM 360 and integrate that with our BIM 360 platform that we're working on and models are synchronizing with, I can simply connect the model that I am working on, and that's the architecture model here. I can connect that in, and now I don't even have to submit my model anymore. I can start by saying that on the right-hand side, you can see the model versions that will be synchronizing with BIM 360. and we can see all of the views and all of the content and the doors and the floors and the lighting and everything else. And we can now simply, as we're working on this, when we're ready, so the curtain walls is what I've been working on. If I select and show these are the curtain walls that I am ready to say are ready to review, I can link them to that original task, and I can simply say, now they are ready for review. And that's it. And they'll get an updated email, and they'll be able to understand. And even the status of these will be color coded in blue to represent that they are ready for review. And the manager can then come in and start to refine and review and see what's ready for review. So if they were to say, okay, what's ready for review? These are the things that are ready for review. When the manager clicks on, and maybe we're going a little bit further than this, but if we see everything and the manager says, this is ready for review, I can click on the task, isolate, view what's there. I can see everything that they have linked into this. So we can see individual panels if we wanted to, et cetera, et cetera. And then I can simply, I want to say, this is verified. I'm good with it. I verify it, it slides away, and all of that would then turn green to show us that that is now reviewed and verified and it's been accepted. So that just makes that workflow a lot easier to be able to submit slowly the things that I'm pleased with and that are ready to be reviewed. And it also allows the coordination workflow to be a lot more streamlined rather than waiting for a whole model to be finished.
That's all for today. And is there anything else that you want to talk about Plannerly?
I have a motto, which is, it's all about evil BIM. It's about making sure that we don't do the bad BIM, that we don't over model, that we don't over add too many parameters to our model, and making sure that we deliver exactly what the client is looking for, making sure that we don't use evil BIM in a bad way to get change orders, to really understand how you can implement BIM in a simple way. So if anybody wants to have a laugh, then just search evil BIM, and you can read up on what we've written about it. So that's something to share.
Okay, thank you very much, Clive.
Thank you.
And if you want something from Brazil, you can count on me.
Fantastic. Okay? Thank you so much. Thanks for great questions. It's yeah, amazing to chat, and yeah, let us know what we can do for you.
The best answers ever. The best answers ever. Thank you.
Take care.
Take care. Bye-bye.